What is up, guys? Welcome back with another video. This is going to be a Season 4 tier list and the last tier list of Season 4 for the Paladins Absolution patch. Not really many balance changes, if I'm being honest, so this may be a shorter video because I'm only going to be talking about a handful of champions that I do think have changed, at least balance-wise and at least tier list-wise for this video. If you guys like these types of videos, let me know by leaving a like down below. If this video gets 20 likes within the first 2 or 3 days, I will bring you guys more tier list videos in the future. You guys seem to keep destroying that goal, so see if we can do it again. Last video had like 70 something likes. I don't know, like after a week or a half or whatever, which is crazy. So thank you guys so much. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new. Really appreciate it. A lot of you guys that watch these videos for some reason aren't subscribed. You guys are missing a shit ton of content, live streams, stuff like that. You don't want to miss any of that. Let's just get right into this. On screen right now is the tier list from the last patch, which was the trick shot patch where Saati got added to the game. On screen right now, like, these are the champions that I'm not going to be talking about in this video, because nothing with these champions, at least balance-wise or game-wise, has really changed enough to really even pay ranking them differently on a tier list. So if there is a specific champion on this list right now that you're looking at and you want an explanation, an in-depth explanation on if they're good, if they're bad, where they currently are in the meta or for ranked, go check out my last video. I'll have a card up in the corner right now, or I'll have a link at the end of the video if you want to watch the rest of this one. And go check that out. There is timestamps, and it's pretty much an hour video. I go through everything in depth. So, alright, well, if Azaan was being able to just be plopped into ranked right now, like with the thing with new champions, they don't get put into ranked until the patch after. So this patch, Saati actually got put into ranked, which we'll be talking about next. But if I were to just put Azaan into ranked right now, just plopping him into ranked right after release, right on the same patch, I'd put him into S tier. The guy is probably one of the best tanks we've had on release, in at least a recent memory. Crazy self-sustain. He has a shit ton of good loadout cards. I'm at the point right now, I think, where I'm like, I think level 12 with him. I'm still kind of in the experimental phase. I wouldn't say I'm really that good with him. I think he has more of a higher skill cap. He kind of reminds me of Atlas, if I'm being completely honest. He's kind of one of those tanks that kind of really relies on his cooldowns and kind of plays like an Atlas. He has a shit ton of crowd control in his kit. He has a knockback. His ult has a stun and a knockback, or a shit ton of damage and a huge knockback in an AoE. He has a knock up. He has a stun when he can actually knock you back and push you into a wall. He has a ton of CC in his kit for a tank. I actually think you can even get away with like running him as a point tank or as an off tank. Obviously, I think he works way better as an off tank because he's really aggressive. He wants to make space. He does a shit ton of damage. He does have some really slow autos. Like, I feel like his autos are kind of clunky with his hammer and stuff. They kind of fire a little bit slow, but I think I'm just not really used to playing him yet that much because he still is really new. I will be doing an entire in-depth guide on him here in probably like a week or two once I do get a better grasp on him. And I do get some loadouts that I think actually work. I'm still kind of experimenting loadout-wise. And I haven't really found like the best key loadout to actually make him really work yet. I have some loadouts that are working for me, but I don't know if there's some stuff I can still change, or as I do go on and continue to learn them, I'll see what happens. But overall, I'd put him in S tier. Really good right now. I would not be surprised if he ends up getting nerfed for Season 5. I really would not. Like, especially once people start learning him. Either he won't get nerfed for the first patch of Season 5, but definitely for the second patch of Season 5 once people start learning him. He has I wouldn't say he's really difficult to play. It's just kind of more cooldown management, similar to Atlas. That's kind of what I'd say about him. Does a shit ton of damage for a tank. Like, all his talents have some viability too. I do think his first one, I think is the one where you get lifesteal and the 5% DR is the best one. But tempering, and then his last talent, where your ire does not decrease, but you no longer get the damage boost. I still think that one's viable as well, with a certain loadout and a certain playstyle. I do think he has potential to have 3 viable talents, but I think there's one that's clearly way better than all 3 of the other ones, if I'm being completely honest. That's kind of just where I put him right now. Kind of some rough thoughts on Azaan. Let me know what you guys think of Azaan currently in the comments down below. If you guys have a good loadout for me to test out, let me know as well, because I really don't have a loadout right now that's 100% like fleshed out and like I'm really good with. I'm kind of still experimenting, at least when I'm making this video. So, but I will have a guide out for him in the coming weeks. So if you guys want to stay tuned for that, probably be an in-depth guide for like a 20-30 minute video just going over Azaan, how to play him and load out, stuff like that. Subscribe so you don't miss that. With that being said, let's move on to the next couple champions I have that will be shifting tiers and be moving around in this tier list for the last update of the year. Alright, so this is actually the first patch, being that Saati's been in the game for an entire patch now. They're actually adding her to ranked the patch afterward, so she's actually getting dropped into ranked. If I'm dropping her into ranked right now, she's going right to S tier. Saati's one of the best DPSs in the game. Right on the level with Tyra, right on the level with a lot of the other DPS. She's not really that bad at all. She has a lot of redeeming qualities about her, even though she doesn't have any mobility per se. She's just extremely annoying to play against. Number one being, like, she's a really good check to Talus. Talus in your ranked games, especially in your mid-tier solo queue games, just runs ranked because nobody knows how to play against him. If you want to let Talus through, she is one of the best checks in the game for Talus, because all you need to do is just shoot at him twice. If you land at least one headshot, the guy's health, it's pretty much 90% gone at that point. If he takes a body shot and then a headshot, he's forced to teleport back. If he jumps you, you knock him into the air with a knockback, and you do either, if you're running window of opportunity, you do bonus damage to him, or he's forced to teleport back, otherwise he dies. One of the best DPS checks in the game to Talus, especially with a lot of the other flanks that really don't have much mobility. She's a really solid check to Skye, a few other ones, stuff like that. If tanks really want to dive you, there's some tanks in the game that kind of just dive you, and once they run out of cooldowns, they can't really retreat away. You knock them into the air and you do so much damage, especially with window of opportunity, to where you can actually get them down. You can actually somewhat 1v1 tanks just because they're locked into the air, and if your team dives on them as well when they're CC'd in the air, then they kind of have really nowhere to go. Either they get killed or they retreat, and then they can't really do anything. They dive your back line or dive you for nothing, pretty much. So, really solid. Insane damage numbers. She has some of the most consistent damage in the game right now out of a lot of the DPS, especially with headshot damage. You're doing like 800 for headshots. Really solid mid-range damage. Close range damage is crazy good. That's not even talking about improvise. Improvise, if you run improvise, pretty much if you guys not know what it does, you can throw down your decoy, which gives you stealth. There's a loadout card in your kit to where you can have 2 seconds of stealth every time you throw down your decoy. And you pretty much have unlimited decoys. I think you can at least throw, I think, 3 of them down at almost one point. I think it's 2.5, like 3, with a little bit of a delay. Decoys down, you have like 6 seconds of stealth. Really annoying to play against, and just looking at other champions in the game like Skye, which relies on invisibility as well. She's kind of a pub stompy champion, especially with your just mid-tier solo queue ranked games in your lower tiers, mid-tiers. Saati is kind of the same way. Really, really annoying to deal with, especially with the improvised playstyle. She has 2 solid playstyles. You can run window of opportunity, or with the improvised, which is probably going to be the more common one. And the 3 ranked games I actually did earlier, she got banned every single game. So people are honestly scared to play against her. Either that, or she's just newly added to ranked, and people just aren't wanting to play against her because she's extremely annoying to play against, and they just don't want to deal with her. Apart from that, I think she will be getting nerfed. Improvise, it's a really scummy type play style. I don't really like playing against it, if I'm being completely honest. Really annoying. It'll probably end up getting nerfed, either for Season 5 or somewhere down the line, especially when people start learning how to play Saati even better. Not really that difficult to play either. You got a really spammable ult, which isn't the greatest ult in the game, but it's the point where it's spammable enough to where you can at least get a decent amount of value out of it. Apart from that, like, the main thing about her that's good is her main weapon. One of the best main weapons in the game for any DPS in the game. Really solid right now. Definitely worth an S tier. If you guys have not played Saati, and she even got a new skin this patch, go check it out. Pick her up in ranked, if especially want a really good check to Talus, or a lot of the other DPS in the game that really can't do much to you. Pick up Saati. I think she's really good right now, and she's definitely going to be one of those really sleeper and really power picks in your ranked games. Going to be hopping into ranked with a full force is Saati. Up next, we got Lian. A lot of you guys are saying Lian's dead, Lian's garbage. I'm telling you guys right now, she's not the best damage champion in the game anymore, but I will be moving her down from an SS. down to an S tier. I think she's still insanely good. Especially being that this is a console tier list, you got to take into consideration that she is a hit scan. She is really easy to play. You're going to be still seeing her in a lot of your ranked matches, and you're going to be seeing her on a lot of her teams. Pretty much what they did, they reduced the max units on her Grace and on her Valor, where you can actually get max damage now from 500, I think, down to 425 units, to where you start getting damage fall off. I think that's what it is. So, and then they actually reworked 2 of her cards. They gave Swift Jade an internal 4-second cooldown, so you can no longer spam it at will with Alacrity and get like, I think, 3-second cooldown or whatever it was, which was broken. And then they actually changed her best card, Inheritance, which before it would give you 50% cooldown on all of your abilities reduction. Cooldown reduction on all of your abilities if you got a killing blow or an elimination. They reworked that card into a killing blow only, so you have to kill somebody to get your cooldown reduction. She's a little bit less steamrolly, like I'll admit that. If you aren't getting kills and you're just getting elims the majority of the game, she does feel a little bit less steamrolly, but I do think she's still really good. The nerfs haven't really hit her to the point where she's really bad, if per se. Like, you guys got to go play herself. If you haven't played Lian after the nerfs for this patch, go play her. She still feels pretty much the same, if I'm being honest. If you know how to play Lian, you're still going to get away with playing her, and you can still do really good, especially if you're still getting kills over elims. Like, I still think she should have damage immunity on her ult. I don't know why they took that away. That's the only thing about her that kind of feels shitty, especially getting killed mid-ult and just getting it completely wasted. I don't know. But we might actually start seeing a little bit more of a rise in, like, auto, or not really more ability-based Lian, but more like base weapon-type precision builds, stuff like that, because I do think precision is a little bit underrated. She does have loadout cards where she can get more ammo and stuff like that to actually buff her base weapon. So maybe we'll be seeing a little bit more precision type builds over like ability burst builds just with these type of nerfs. Maybe that gives that a little bit more of an increased play style. I don't know. I've tried precision before. It's solid. It depends on what team you're going against, though. If you're going against more of a squishy type team, it just doesn't make sense to run. You're better off just running like pretty much like a reset build or like an ability based build with her, and just kind of going that way. So it's more team dependent, but you might start seeing a little bit more like base weapon precision builds and precision play styles in your games. But apart from that, Lian hasn't really changed much. She's not the best damage in the game anymore. I would not ban her per se, but she's still S tier, 100%. And then for the second to last champion I got for this, that's going to be pretty much moving up a tier, I got Ray. Even though she got nerfed this patch, it seems really weird, I know, but I'll explain. Even though she got nerfed this patch, I'm actually going to move her from an A up to an A+ for this patch. She got a really cool quality of life change, which I think makes her feel a million times better. If you guys do not know, she did get nerfed pretty harshly. She got 2 of her cards nerfed, Midnight Stroll, and then there was another card that got nerfed, which I don't think really matters too much if you're playing her as more of like a healer. It was mainly as like a damage type off support type playstyle for her with those cards. So she's still good as a healer. You can get away with her as a healer, even more so now, I think. Her ult did get nerfed, so instead of a full heal now, it only does 75% of whoever your target is. So if somebody is all the way down to pretty much like 100 health or whatever, it's only gonna like heal them all the way up to 75%. It's not gonna be no longer a full heal, which is a huge nerf. It is, but it's still one of the best ults in the game. No other support in the game can bring a tank, especially something without a shield, like a Rom, like a Yagruth, stuff that doesn't really have a shield per se, all the way from pretty much 0 health all the way up to pretty much full. It's still one of the best ults in the game, even after the nerf, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. And they actually did a really cool quality of life change. Her chain heal, now, before what it would do, it would just bounce between your allies willy-nilly. If they didn't need a heal, or if they did not, it would not matter. It would still bounce between them a certain amount of times, and it would be gone and go on cooldown, right? They change it now to where it's going to prioritize, and prioritizes people with the percentage amount of health they have. So it'll guaranteed at least bounce to the person that's close to you with low health that needs heals at least 2 times and it'll actually heal them at least 2 times now. So the people before, it would bounce between people that had full health, and it would still neglect the people that needed heals, and it would go on cooldown, and those people still would not have a heal. So her chain heal is a lot more consistent, and it feels a lot better now. So just for that alone, like as a healer, that made her a lot better, if I'm being completely honest. She feels a lot better to play, especially if you're playing a team that's more grouped up and you're playing around your support. A lot of people are starting to learn how to play her as well now. She's been in the game for a decent amount of time. I'm seeing a lot more decent Rays in my game that are either really annoying to play against, or they actually know what they're doing and they use their ult at the proper time. They get out of dodge and they use their DR to get out of dodge, and they play really good positioning wise and healing wise. They play with their team how they're supposed to, or their team plays around them. She is a really good support if you play around her. As a solo support, I still think she's not really one of the best ones in the game, but you can make her work depending on what team you have, especially with the quality of life rework now, to where it actually prioritizes your low health allies over just bouncing a heal between everybody, even if they have full health or not, and wasting your bounce heals and making it go on cooldown, even when somebody wouldn't even get a heal, or they will only get 1 bounce of the heal and still have half their health missing. So she just feels a lot better to play healing-wise, even though her ult got nerfed a little bit, down to 75 from 100%, and she did get some loadout card nerfs, but those are mainly for a damaging type play style with like restraint or something like that. So I'm going to move her up to an A+ tier. Let me know what you guys say in the comments down below. And then we're going to move on to our last change of this patch, and we're going to move on to that right now. And the last change, I'm going to make this patch. I think I kind of put him a little bit too low last patch. He was like my only champion, like after I threw the last tier list up. That was like, man, I think I maybe put Corvus a little bit too low, if I'm being completely honest. I'm moving from an A tier up to an A+ tier. He's really underrated right now. Corvus pairs so well with a lot of the shit in the game right now, especially with Saati being added. He pairs really well with Saati. And a lot of the other stuff in the game right now that's just being played. Pairs great with Andro, great with Lex, a lot of the DPS, especially with Tyra. If you guys have not played Dark Gifts Corvus, I think it's one of the most underrated playstyles in the game out of any of the supports. You get the 15% crowd control reduction, the 50 tick heal. You get I think it's the 15% reload speed to whoever you have marked, which benefits your tanks, your DPS, and even your other supports if you're on a double support comp. Any of your flanks that need to reload, stuff like that. That's why I'm saying it's so good. And not all that, on top of that, you also have lifesteal. You have small shields, so when you mark somebody, you give them, I think, a 200 health shield for, I think, 3 seconds or whatever it is. Speed boost, you get a movement speed when you're marked, and with a mark, lifesteal, like I said. He just brings so much to a team to where he pairs with so much good stuff in the game right now. You pair him with a Tyra, you pair him with a carry DPS, and you just pock the shit out of them the entire game. He's really good if you're solo queuing and you're in a party, or even if you're like in a duo. You have them pick something that they can carry on, you pick a Corvus, and you just do nothing but pock the shit out of them the entire game and have them carry the game. One of the best solo queue probably supports in the game, if I'm being completely honest, especially if you have like one person on your team. Usually if you're playing your solo queue ranked games or your mid-tier ranked games without a party or anything like that, if you're like me, you guys probably know because I do stream ranked live. If you did not know that, subscribe because you do not want to miss my ranked live streams. But like pretty much going into ranked games, usually you have at least one person on your team that's at least decent. With Dark Gifts, you can pock the shit out of them. And just hopefully they carry the game with the constant heals. Spreading Influence, not bad by any means as well. Still, arguably probably the better one, but the problem I've been having with Spreading Influence lately is if you're just playing your mid-tier ranked games, and you're just playing your random ranked games, a lot of people overextend and they take way too much damage, and you just don't have enough heals to keep them fully sustained with that. It really is. There's no really problem with the Spreading Influence, but I just feel like people take way too much damage, and you're splitting your heals down to even less numbers, and when people start building Cauterize, you just don't have enough heals to keep up. That's the problem I have with it, because people don't stay out of Cauterize long enough to get a full heal on the split heal, and people just end up taking way too much damage, and you're just your regular random ranked games. So in your higher tiers, it'll work. It works really well. I think it actually works better than Dark Gifts as like a solo support in your higher tier ranked games. But if you're just talking about your mid tier ranked games where people don't know how to position, they'd never stay out of cauterize, and they take way too much damage by overextending or taking fights they shouldn't be taking, then I would actually probably go Dark Gifts right now, if I'm being completely honest. I've been finding a lot of success with Dark Gifts. And then you have Stunning Visage, which is pretty much still a throw pick, but he has 2 viable talents. That's what I'm putting in moving up. I think he's really solid right now. Plus, he does a shit ton of damage. I think some of the highest damage numbers out of any support in the game right now. You're building ults up really quick. Your ult is actually really solid right now. You have a lot of Yagruth being played, a lot of the bulky tanks being played. You throw it down, you do a shit ton of damage to those tanks mainly, so because it's percentage health based. So really solid right now. I do think he's worthy moving up at least 1 tier. I'm not going to move him up any higher, but I do think he's A+ worthy right now. Go play some Corvus. He's really fun to play and really underrated right now. And there you have it, guys. Here's what the final list of Season 4 looks like on screen right now. This is going to be the last list I do for Season 4. Whether or not we get a small patch in December of this year, I don't know. But at least from what they said, we're going to get an update show in December and then not an actual patch until Season 5. So this is probably more than likely the last tier list of Season 4. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We had some really cool champions being released this year. I think my favorite champion out of the entire year is 100% probably Saati. Otherwise, we had a lot of other fun ones. Azaan is really fun. Vaatu was pretty damn good. Ray is still really fun to play. Let me know what your guys' favorite champion out of the entire year was down in the comments down below. 100% opinionated tier list. Keep in mind this was a console tier list, so if you guys want a explanation on anything I did not discuss in this video, because I did not discuss like at least more than 90% of the champions, I will have a link to my last tier list from the trick shot patch at the end of this video. There's timestamps in the description, and it's a pretty much 50-minute video. I talk about every champion in depth and pretty much how they currently are. The reason why I'm not including them in this video is because nothing has really changed, least balance wise or any point where it's really viable to even rank them differently, because they're pretty much the same from last patch. It just doesn't make sense. So if you guys do like Paladins content as well, I do stream the game at least 4 times a week. We stream Paladins ranked, viewer games with viewers on stream, stuff like that. I also stream Apex Legends, Smite, stuff like that at least 4 times a week, usually Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. We usually stream Smite or Paladins on Mondays, and then Apex Legends or some Smite on Tuesday nights. So apart from that, if that interests you, feel free to subscribe and turn notifications on. Like I said, let's see if we can get this video to 20 likes. Would really appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Thanks for stopping by and thanks for viewing the video. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully this can help you guys. Go check out my last tier list if you're wondering anything from that one and none of the champions that I did discuss in this video. Apart from that, peace out, guys. Thanks for watching.